All right, we are back here on the podcast doing the Yankee Offseason Think Tank. Winter meetings are next week. Join me today, as we did last year at this spot. Had a lot of fun conversation. Phil Fraietta is back with us. Phil, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for coming on here. And I gotta say, definitely the offseason has started. Yankees have gotten one move done. They have some other things in the hopper. So, what are we looking for here right now in the offseason? What's your big expectation?
So do you want my expectation or my wish list?
Give me the wish list first.
The wish list is Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees need to get Kyle Tucker. I think it's a match made in heaven. That swing is a perfect swing for Yankee Stadium. I know there are concerns about the defense, but it's not to me. It's not awful. It's more on the average side. And that bat in the lineup with Aaron Judge and the left-handed swing in Yankee Stadium, it's a perfect fit. So that's the wish list. The what I expect is I expect the Yankees to re-sign Cody Bellinger instead because I think that is a cheaper option for them, and they're a cost-sensitive team at this point. And I also do expect that they're going to land Amai, the Japanese pitcher who's coming over.
All right, so those are your two called now, Bellinger and Imai.
It sitting here right now on December 2nd, yeah, those I think both of those guys end up in on the Yankees next season.
Okay, so I think that is realistic. We'll go bounce around a little bit with stuff here. So start with, I think the big headline heading into the week is obviously the Hal Steinbrenner comments last week, where he's talking to reporters and they're asking, oh, you made $765 million, like you putting more into the payroll, so on and so forth. He's like, you can't assume I'm making a profit on this team. And they asked for specifics. Obviously, he was not going to give them, but like he said, we have this $100 million payment with the stadium. Like it's not as easy to run a baseball team as you think. So, what are your takeaway from what Hal basically trying to spin us that the Yankees don't make money?
Uh, Unbelievable, tone deaf, foolish, stupid, any other of those adjectives you want to use. There's no way, and I understand that maybe the IRS books for the New York Yankees don't show much of a profit, but that doesn't mean that the franchise does not make a profit. There are a zillion different holding companies, and they have media contracts and other forms of revenue. So for Hal Steinbrenner to try and get all cute with accounting tricks in a public media conversation, that's really it's colloquial. It's not asking, do you report a profit for the purposes of taxation? It's asking, do you make money? And everybody knows the New York Yankees make money. And if they don't, and guess what? Guess what, Hal? If they don't make money, you can sell the team, and there will be a line all around New York City of people who want to buy the New York Yankees, and you'll probably get about $10 billion for them. So go ahead and sell them.
Yeah, that was my point too, because I'm sure there are ways you could spin numbers, say, look, we have to do these expenses, we have to pay this, we have to pay that. Payroll is not cheap. You could spin the numbers, I'm sure, if you want to twist it a certain way to make it sound like you're not making money on the deal. But franchise values go way up. You are printing money, you're selling millions of shirts and jerseys and tickets and chicken buckets here. I do not think Yankees want to hear you crying poor, saying, it's so hard to run the Yankees. I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
The interlocking NY is one of the most valuable brands in the world. It's one of the most recognizable brands in the world. If you go anywhere in the world, you will see Yankee caps.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that in all of professional sports, there are not many teams that can extract a higher price than the Yankees. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys, but there's really not many. And if the Yankees went up on sale, I'm confident they would set a big number. So if Hal isn't making money, then sell the team.
Yeah. I think I'd say that list probably the Cowboys. We saw the Lakers sell. I think the Yankees will get more what the Lakers got on the market. I think that's something we saw here in the Celtics too recently. Maybe some of the top like Premier League soccer clubs because that's a big global investment. But like other than that, like you could get easily close to $10 billion if you put the Yankees in the market.
Yeah, as far as American professional sports go, it's the Cowboys and the Yankees.
Yeah.
And it's really a 1A and 1B. So if Hal Steinbrenner thinks that it's too expensive to run a baseball team in 2025 and 2026, sell the Yankees.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that there will be plenty of bidders.
I'm sure there would be here. And also, I think it sort of plays into hand in hand with the commentary Hal has made of late in the past years about, oh, like, I'm not opposed to a salary cap if there's a floor. And he throws in the cap if there's a floor, where I think he's trying to frame it as altruistic, as, oh, like, I want to see, like the Marlins and the Pirates and, the Rays pull their weight in terms of salary. But I think he's more motivated by controlling his own cause and not having to compete with, Steve Cohen or the Dodgers for every big player going into like catastrophic bidding wars.
Absolutely. That's exactly his motivation. And I'm sure that throughout the course of this baseball season and especially into next off season with the lockout seemingly impending, we're going to talk about salary cap economics and all that more on this podcast. But that is exactly Hal's motivation. It's not a altruistic, I think it's going to make baseball more competitive. It's I don't want to play in the same sandbox as Steve Cohen and the Dodgers and some of these higher spending teams.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's go to some of the offseason specifics here. I think obviously number one, the Trent Grisham qualifying offer happens, and they make this offer. I don't, to my opinion, I know the Yankees tell you what they want. I think they did not think that Grisham was going to accept it. That's my hunch is that they expected, okay, he's going to turn it down. We'll get a draft pick when he leaves, and all's good in the world. He accepts it, and now it seems like there's potential impact on Cody Bellinger. I know that Jeff Passan had a thing on Threads the other day where he said that the Yankees may need to subtract to make a spot for Bellinger. They want to carry Bellinger, Judge, Grisham, Dominguez, and make a spot for Spencer Jones all in 1 year. So, do you think this Grisham decision was a mistake for the Yankees?
Not at all. I'm thrilled that Grisham accepted that qualifying offer. I don't buy the narrative that you would offer a qualifying offer to a player if you didn't want him to accept it. Now you may not think he's going to accept it, but anytime you make a qualifying offer, you want the guy to accept, or you're at least okay if he accepts. You're content with it. And in my opinion, it's a good thing that he accepted. They got themselves in Grisham a proven major league caliber center fielder on a 1 year contract. I know that the money is jumping out. Well, it's $22 million. Trent Grisham, as a I know last year was an aberration, so I'm not going on last year. I don't think he's going to repeat those kinds of numbers. But I'm looking at his Fangraphs projections, and he's projecting to be somewhere between a 2 and 2.5 WAR player, and a 2.5 WAR player in center field. $22 million on a 1 year deal is not a bad contract whatsoever.
Yeah.
It gives you some flexibility also with Spencer Jones, and you can now let Spencer Jones play a little more in the minor league because you have a proven commodity in Grisham. And if guess what? If Grisham has a bad year, it's a 1 year deal. You're not committed to him long term. So I like it. I thought it was a good move.
Yeah, I think they're being a little disingenuous this whole way. We have to, we can't carry everybody. We have to make a spot for Spencer Jones. I mean, I saw Spencer Jones hit a ton of home runs in AAA, but he also struck out a ton in AAA. And like, that's something you worry about when you come to the big leagues, face better pitching, and his strikeout rate as high as Spencer Jones has.
Sure, and I know the counter to that is well. So Aaron Judge did too, and he figured it out, and that's true. But for every Aaron Judge, there's a zillion other guys you don't remember because they never made it. Um, but bringing in Grisham does not mean you got to get rid of Jones. Doesn't mean you got to get rid of Dominguez necessarily. the Yankees can afford to carry all of these players. That a lot of them have. Jones has options. Dominguez has options. And guess what? Giancarlo Stanton's going to get hurt. And when he does, there you go. You have a roster spot.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this. I think that bringing in Grisham, I've now brought in a proven quality center fielder on a reasonable contract for 1 year. Would I sign Grisham to a multi-year contract? No, I would not, because I think he's a bit on the decline. His defense is declining, but for one more year, which is ultimately going to be his age 29 season, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, let's go to the Bellinger one, which is the next big thing, which you would assume that's what the Yankees' next priority is here in terms of the Bellinger situation. We got reports on Monday from Heyman in the Post that like there's a gap in the number of years that Bellinger wants compared to what the Yankees are willing to give here. Add that in with the pass and stuff about them trying to, say, oh, we need to make sure we have enough at bats for Dominguez and Jones, and we can't carry too many of these guys. I wonder if the Yankees are kind of soft pivoting themselves here, like if we can't get this done, we're putting our spin out for here's why. Because I think like it still would be a mistake for them to let Bellinger go.
So the Bellinger situation is tricky to me. Um, I do not think Bellinger is going to age well as a player, and I'm very reluctant to enter into a long-term contract with Bellinger. I know he had a great season last year. He does a lot of good things on the field. He's a good defensive player. He can run the bases. But I think what you got from him last year offensively is the best you're going to get from Cody Bellinger probably for the rest of his career. He's already 29 years old. He's going to be 30 next year. I'm worried about entering into a long-term deal with him, which is why I started this segment telling you I wanted Tucker. I just think Tucker is a better offensive player all around. And if you look at Bellinger's baseball savant page, there are some things to be very concerned about. His average exit velocity is low. He doesn't swing hard at all. His hard hit rate is low. His bat speed's low. These are things that could potentially become a problem as he ages and loses some of his athleticism. That said, uh, I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff or anything next year. So if I can get Bellinger for a nice 4 year contract, I'm very happy about that. But I think once you start getting into years 5, 6, and 7, you could be looking at a real bad contract, a DJ LeMahieu type contract.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think a lot of guys in this market, whether it's him, whether it's Pete Alonso, whether it's Edwin Diaz, whether it's Bregman, like they're valuing years over dollars right now. We got to think because of the uncertainty with the lockout. They want to have as much long-term security as they possibly can. And I think the thing to worry about the Bellinger situation here is that like his market is pretty robust considering like even with the qualifying offer because there are a lot of teams that have needs that he can fill because he can play a bunch of different positions. We talked about it off air about like he's a perfect fit for the Mets. He can cover them at three different areas where they have needs right now. He could be a fit for the Dodgers going back there with their outfield issues. He'd be a fit for the Phillies. Like those are three big spenders that could incite a bidding war here that might drive this price up to the point Hal's not thrilled with.
Which, yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily blame Hal for that for the reasons that I said earlier. I do not. I look at this player, I look at his baseball savant page, I look at some of the more advanced metrics, and I don't see somebody who's going to age well. I think that the year you got from him last year offensively is the best you're going to get, which is certainly a very good player. Don't get me wrong, but is that somebody I want to commit a 7 year contract to? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I don't think he gets seven. I think there's a chance he gets five.
And look, I said earlier that I'd want to give him 4, so maybe that means I got to give him another extra year for 5. I could live with that, but then of course you start talking about the money, which is less of a concern to me, but a real concern to Hal Steinbrenner, of course. So long story short, I would be certain I'm not going to be upset if Bellinger comes back, but I don't think he should be Plan A, which is apparently is, and I understand why he is, and I think it's because he's going to be cheaper than Tucker, and he's an easy sell to the fans. Yankee fans loved him last year because he fit the checked all the boxes that Yankee fans have been wanting for years. You know, he doesn't strike out. He plays defense.
It's
He's a
lefty.
winner. He's a lefty. Yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I think the Belly thing is interesting to watch here, and obviously, I think you said at the top here you want Kyle Tucker. I think there is not a team in the league who could use Kyle Tucker more than the Yankees can because they keep this. Yankee fans seem to think that Aaron Judge's gonna just be Babe Ruth forever, and he's not. He's already in his early 30s. He's not gonna hit 60 homers a year every year. And at some point, when Aaron Judge is no longer Superman, that lineup falls off a cliff. So you want to have Kyle Tucker there to be kind of the next guy. Say, okay, this is our face of the franchise as Aaron Judge starts to decline. And I think the fact that they are seemingly not showing as much interest in him as they should is very worrying.
Tucker to me is, like I said earlier, he's a perfect fit, an absolutely perfect fit. He's going into his age 29 season, so he's not old by any means. He's actually younger than Bellinger. Uh, if you look at his numbers across the board every single season, this is a guy who puts up quality offensive numbers. Even last year in a down year, he still put up a good season playing in a difficult ballpark to hit in Wrigley Field. He's got a perfect left-handed swing. He slots in nicely in the lineup. He does a lot of things that Yankee fans don't like as well. He doesn't strike out a lot. He makes contact. He can run a little bit. He steals some bases. He checks a lot of the boxes. And what I think of is I think back to a year ago. And a year ago, we were on this podcast talking about how the Yankees had to re-sign Juan Soto. They have to get him back, and they obviously didn't. He went to the Mets. And you cannot replicate Juan Soto, but Kyle Tucker is probably the closest thing you're going to find to Juan Soto. He takes his walks. He's a left-handed bat. He's not as good, but he's pretty damn close.
Yeah, he's a more well-rounded version. Like while Soto's a better hitter, like Tucker's a much better fielder. Tucker's a better base runner. Despite the fact that Soto stole all those bases last year. I think like that's something you have to keep an eye in mind here. And like it's something I talk about off on top of the podcast too. Here, it's like it's something you also want to see the Yankees like show they're willing to go top of the market and get the best hitter out there that's not their own guy. They've not done that since Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah. Well, look, tell me right now, who is from the left side of the plate, who's better than Kyle Tucker? I mean, I can name a couple of guys, Otani, um,
Soto,
Soto, we were talking about earlier, but there's not many other guys who I could say this guy is definitively a better hitter than Kyle Tucker.
yeah.
So you're getting one of the better left-handed hitters in the league, and it only costs you money. You don't have to trade anything for him. So to me, he's an absolutely perfect fit. So, and I hope they do it, but I don't expect they will.
Yeah, I mean, Soto last year, the bidding got insane because we got side teams involved, and he's 26 years old. And we heard next Ted Williams thing to Soto, but like Soto gets 765 from the Mets. Like Kyle Tucker's getting at most 400, I feel like, and that's I feel like it's still a steep price, but for what he does, I feel like the Yankees should be all over this.
They should. They absolutely should. If the Dodgers have taught us anything, it's that the best approach to winning a World Series in this version of baseball, with this many rounds of playoffs and this many playoff games and all these pitchers who throw a million miles an hour and all the variants that you see in the postseason, is to get the best players you possibly can and put them all on the same team and hope that some of them perform at they're capable of doing in a short sample size.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the only thing you could do. Kyle Tucker, he's a superstar caliber player. I put him with Aaron Judge, maybe it happens. Like it happened a couple of years ago. I put Juan Soto with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge didn't really hit. Juan Soto did. I made the World Series. So to me, that's the way to do it, but I don't at all expect it because I know the way that this team operates.
Yeah. And I feel like that they do want Bellinger so that they don't have to pay Kyle Tucker. I feel like that's the motivation there.
I think so too, and I think they don't have to pay Kyle Tucker. They could sell it to the fan base because the fan base likes Cody Bellinger for all the reasons we talked about. He fits a lot of things that Yankee fans have wanted for the past decade. His father played for the Yankees. That's always an added bonus as well. And again, this is not a Cody Bellinger's a bad player. This is just a Kyle Tucker is a better player
and younger,
and younger. So I'm getting a better, younger player.
which is what you should be aiming for when you're spending money in the market.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do that. I feel like they're going to go ahead and take care of, try and get Bellinger back here. But let's go through the disaster scenario a second here. Let's say that Kyle Tucker goes to Toronto. It seems like they're hot on pursuit of him. And Bellinger, let's say he goes back to the Dodgers. Do you think the Yankees would really go into the season with the outfield being Dominguez, Grisham, and Judge and not add anybody else?
I don't think that would happen. But maybe that's just wishful thinking. I do think the Yankees understand that they are. Last season, they were able to argue. We had a weak American League. They, they're not. I think they'd be in a hard spot to argue that. Toronto's improved. And they had a great season. Boston's improved. They had a great season. Baltimore's improved. I know they didn't have such a good season, but they did have a decent second half. So I don't think the Yankees could be status quo and be happy with that. They need to bring somebody in. So the idea that I would move to then, and this is kind of my wild card idea, is Fernando Tatis Jr., who I think could be acquired from the Padres this offseason. I think that's a real possibility if the Yankees can pull that trade off.
Yeah, I could see them sniffing around there. And it's just a question of does Hal want to take on that much money?
Well, here's the reasons why I think this could happen. First of all, we know that they're under the ownership change. The owner unfortunately passed away, and it seems that the family doesn't want the team anymore.
Yeah.
They spent a boatload of money because the owner knew that he was on his last days. He tried to buy a World Series, came close, but he didn't do it. So they now have a ton of bad contracts on that team. They have Yu Darvish, who might be the worst contract in baseball. Can't trade him. They've got Machado, who is now locked up until he's 40 years old, making a lot of money. And he's already 34. So at this point, you're paying Machado for his down years, not his good years. So you say, all right, who on this team can I actually move? Which contract can I get rid of? And Tatis is the only one that I think you can get rid of. Tatis is actually under a pretty reasonable contract, all things considered. He's locked up until he is 35 years old. So you're not paying him past his productive years. And he doesn't make a ton of money under the contract. As I'm looking at it now, he makes 20 next year. He goes up to 25 for the next two, and then he caps out at 36 for the remainder of the contract. Even at $36 million for Tatis, that's not a terrible price.
Yeah.
So to me, he's a potentially available guy who I certainly would be all over if I was the Yankees. He fits a lot of their needs as well.
Yeah, so I think that's something you watch there too. And obviously the question should be what are you giving up to get Fernando Tatis there? Now, obviously it's not going to be all your big things because you're taking on money and helping the Padres out financially. But this is not going to be, I think, like Giancarlo Stanton, basically getting him for, who was Starlin Castro and two prospects nobody's ever heard of. I think you get to get them something to get Tatis.
Yeah, no, they will. This will require some serious prospects. I could, but frankly, there's nobody in the Yankees minor league system I would not trade for this guy.
Yeah.
Who would you not trade for Fernando Tatis Jr.? This guy is a star player.
And you need star players.
And you need star players. He also solves another problem that the Yankees have, which I think we're probably going to talk about later with Amai, but it's the same issue. The Dominican fan base, as they saw with Juan Soto, will respond to the Yankees having Dominican stars.
Yeah.
Tatis fills that box.
Yeah. And we saw a big influx in Queens also when Soto went over there.
Right. So you bring in Tatis, maybe you bring some of the Dominican fans back as well.
Yeah.
So there's a plus there also.
Yep. So let's go to the pitching side as well, because obviously we know that they have a lot of guys under contract. They have obviously Fried and Rodon long term. Garrett Cole's coming back from injury. He'll should be back probably some point early in the season. You have obviously Schlittler had the huge playoffs. You have Luis Heel in the mix there. Like in terms of the pitching staff, it does feel like they want to add one more arm. Like you seem to think it's Imai. Like, do you think they're going to go big, really go big game hunting here? Or you think that they're going to, like just look for depth options here?
I think they are going to go big game hunting with Imai and only with Imai. And the reason I think that is because I think the Yankees view Imai as more than just a pitcher. It's no secret that the Yankees want to get back into the Japanese market. They have not landed a Japanese star since Tanaka. They have tried. They tried really hard to get Otani. They tried really hard to get Yamamoto. They could not sell. They tried to get Roki Sasaki. They could not get any of those guys. Imai seems like somebody who's coming here who they if you're to take him at his word, which is I don't want to be on the Dodgers, I want to beat the Dodgers, then maybe he's actually a viable option. So I think that because of the Yankees' desire to get back into the Japanese market, they might be willing to stretch the pocketbook a little bit if for a pitcher if it's Imai.
Yeah. I think Imai gives them flexibility too, because like they could, they will buy them time with Cole. They'll have to rush him back. And then like you could, keep an eye on Schlittler's innings because you don't know how many he's going to be able to handle a full year's workload. Who knows about Heel? And I think like they're in a rock and a hard place because like a lot of like the trade market for pitchers requires decent prospects, and the Yankees don't really have a deep system. Whereas we've seen, for example, the Mets have been linked to guys like Freddie Peralta. They've been linked to Joe Ryan, and a lot the Yankees have this attitude where we're not trading Spencer Jones or anybody but Paul Skeens, and that's a hard sell when your system is not great.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I believe them when they say that, frankly, but it's a fair point. I just think that Imai he checks off so many boxes for them. It gives them another piece in the rotation. He's pretty young. Um, he has nasty stuff, and you get a Japanese star, and the Yankees are in desperate need of a Japanese star. Like I said earlier, they need a Dominican star, they need a Japanese star also.
Yeah, you don't think they'll be on Murakami, the first baseman?
I don't think they'll be in on Murakami. I just don't think they have a spot for him. Uh, I don't see any way that they're not going to give Ben Rice the first base job. I think he's certainly earned it. He had a fantastic season. He proved that he can hit. So I just don't think they have a spot for him on the team. The other Japanese player I do think they will be in though on is Okamoto though from the Giants,
Yeah.
the Yomiuri Giants. He is a corner infielder, right-handed hitter, doesn't strike out a lot, has some pop. He seems like he would be a very good fit for the Yankees if they're looking for a platoon bat with Rice and McMahon, who are both left-handed hitters.
Yeah, it makes you wonder though, like how much more difficult this is that they have 2 more years of Ryan McMahon at third to give the kind of box them in what they want to do for third base.
Yeah. Well, I think they believe in McMahon. I think they think McMahon's going to improve offensively. He might. There is something to the notion of, I know it's counterintuitive, but a lot of these players actually perform better when they leave Coors Field because
Yeah.
the spin on the ball is a little different there on the breaking balls. So you might get a little bit more consistency from McMahon. I'm not saying he's going to turn into a star, but if I can get 20 home runs from the guy in Gold Glove caliber third base, it's not a terrible contract. But I certainly would like to have a right-handed bat to platoon him with, and maybe that Okamoto fits that bill.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Bullpen wise, obviously, they need some pieces. They have Bednar closing right now. They lost Devin Williams, went to the Mets on the 3-year deal yesterday. Luke Weaver's a free agent. Like how much help do you think they add to the bullpen?
Bullpen is tough with the Yankees because up until last year, they just had a way of finding guys and kind of plugging them in and it worked out. Last year, that wasn't the case. So maybe that puts them a little bit on edge about it. But I still don't expect them to do a whole lot with the bullpen.
Yeah,
They have Camilo Doval back. They've got Hill and Yarbo back. Um,
they,
they're going to have Will Warren, who can potentially give you innings out of the bullpen. I don't expect a whole lot, but I would like to see them add some velocity.
yeah, they have Fernando Cruz hanging around too. So
Right, you still got Fernando Cruz. Yep.
yeah, so you wonder like maybe like I would like a setup man if I'm the Yankees, but I don't know if they want to spend big money on it. I feel like they're gonna like wait till like January and like see who's still sitting out there and say, hey, who wants a 1 year contract? Let's go for somebody who has a track record, maybe not had a great 2025.
Yeah, I mean, a name I'll give you to look out for is I think Michael Kopech is a name the Yankees would be interested in. I know they've always liked Kopech. He kind of didn't really pitch much last year with injury, but obviously he had a really good season the year before for the Dodgers. He throws super, super hard, and they could use some flamethrowers in their bullpen. They don't have enough. So I could see Kopech coming in on a short prove it type deal.
Yeah, it's like another guy I think would fit that mold. You're looking for velocity. Like I know he had a tough year with the Mets here. Like take the Ryan Stanek flyer. Maybe you get postseason 2024 Ryan Stanek for a full season 26.
Yeah, I can see that too. I know the Yankees, they like the velocity. They don't have it really. Um, they bring in Doval and Bednar helped. You brought in two high velocity guys, but you still have guys like Hill and Yarbo who are soft throwers. I think you can use another high velocity type arm back there.
All right, so assuming we go with the Yankees do what you do, which is suggested here, which basically is Grisham's back, Bellinger's back. We'll go with Imai. We'll say they do get him, and then they add a flyer from like the bullpen for basically their offseason moves here. Like, is this basically not just the Yankees saying, "Hey, we were good at the end of last year. We're going to run it back and air Garrett Cole and see what happens."
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And here's the problem, and this is where I I hate saying this, but they're not wrong exactly either. They did have the best offense in the league last year by a pretty sizable margin. If you look at their statistics, they really were one of the best offensive team in the league. They have good starting pitching.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy to say we're going to run this back and hopefully the ball bounces the right way for us this time and we're win the World Series. That's not a crazy thing to think. And I don't like saying that, but it's true. Now here's where I get frustrated though. It's certainly not crazy to say that. But take a look at a team like the Dodgers. The Dodgers could also easily say, "Hey, we're great. We're just going to run it back," but they never do. They didn't last year. They said, "No, we're not going to run it back. We're going to go bring in Blake Snell. We're going to bring in Roki Sasaki. We're going to do everything we can to make our team better."
And they won a title off of that before that.
Right, and that's coming off a World Series.
Yeah.
And they said, "No, we're going to go back and run it back. We're not going to run it back the exact same team. We're going to spend more money and be better." And that's what frustrates me with the Yankees is that they seem to live on this. Well, we know that on the margins we're a good team, and unless things don't fall in the right way, we should be fine. Rather than, you know what, we want to plug as many holes as we can, and at that point, if it doesn't work out, what can you do? That's more, and that's the way the Yankees used to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want to see back. I'd like to see them go back and be the Yankees again, but I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't see it personally myself. I feel like they're very content to, say, okay, we'll put together a team that can win 90 plus games, like maybe win the division. If not, we're gonna be a wild card and the postseason's a crapshoot. We're gonna get in and see what happens. Whereas you see, like teams like, and I'm not saying that, like you have to go, oh, we hit too many home runs. I think there's a point to balance because we saw Milwaukee and they faced good pitching with the Dodgers here. You can't hit like six singles in a row against elite pitching and find ways to score runs in the postseason. Like you need that balance like the Dodgers have and the Blue Jays had. Like the Yankees don't seem to get that concept.
Well, again, it's because the Yankees seem to be content with simply saying we got players who are pretty good and we formed a good team accordingly, rather than we got players who are stars. To me, that's the difference. I look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers didn't hit much in this postseason at all,
Yeah.
but they managed to win games for the simple reason that they had stars. And some of their stars showed up. Yamamoto showed up. The guy had an World Series performance that is in the legend history books. It's one of the best World Series performances you'll ever see. So to me, that's the thing with the Yankees. I don't view it as a philosophical problem with their analytics department or any of that. I think the fans who say that really just don't pay attention to what's going on in baseball, because the Yankees don't do anything different analytically than anybody else does. The difference is they just don't want to spend money. They want to plug their holes with good enough rather than the best.
Yeah, they tend to want to hold spots for their young guys, and their young guys, they're shocked when they come up here and they don't perform what they think they can.
And I think part of that is Hal Steinbrenner saying if I can have a salary controllable player for 6 years or 3 years before he even hits arbitration, making league minimum, then great. Then that's better. I can manage a payroll better that way. And I get that. That is true. But you are the New York Yankees. You're the New York Yankees. You see the Dodgers doing that? No. Do the Dodgers even have a homegrown player on the team anymore? I couldn't even name a single guy.
Will Smith's probably the only one, probably the only
Yeah,
existing
yeah, Will Smith, and I guess Kershaw retired, so he doesn't count anymore.
Yeah,
It's not the way that baseball works anymore.
yeah. You look what the Mets are doing across town. They shipped out Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil's probably on his way out the door. Like the Mets are, obviously they had a different scenario the Mets played out where, like they whittle away like a lock playoff berth in June and miss the postseason. But like they're not just sitting here saying, oh, it was random, we could get better pitching. Like they actively are changing
They're
things.
trying to improve their team. Look, now we'll see. We could talk about the Mets on a different broadcast, and we'll see what they do. To me, last season had to be a wake up call for Stearns that hey, I need to go get some pitchers. I can't just rely on my pitching lab.
Yeah.
But um, but it's the same kind of concept. Even Toronto went to the World Series. What they do? They go, let's go get Dylan Cease,
And they want Kyle Tucker.
and they're going to try and get Kyle Tucker. So it frustrates me that the Yankees go with good enough rather than the best available.
As I've said before, they always seem to stop one move short of what they should do.
Yeah. And again, I understand it from a rational standpoint. Hey, we're good enough. We're going to win 95 games. We're going to make the playoffs, and then who the hell knows? Maybe we'll win the World Series. I get that. I really do. And it's not completely flawed. But to me, it's why not say, you know what, let's try and win 98 games instead of 95 games. And if this player can add those 3 extra wins, let's go get him.
Yeah, I think they seem to have missed the lesson that the one time they made the World Series in the past like 16 years was the year they went out and got one of the best players in baseball.
Right. And they'll tell you, oh, well, this year we lost a tiebreaker to Toronto. Otherwise, we would have been the 1 seed. True. But again, why are we putting this stuff to chance like that? If you think right now, as currently constructed, that you can win 94 games, how many more games could you win if you bring in Kyle Tucker?
Maybe he gets
How many
90.
more games could you? Maybe you bring in Tucker and Amai, and all of a sudden you get 98 and you win the division. You're the 1 seed, and that matters. It matters. So that's where I get frustrated with the Yankees.
Yeah, because I just think that like I think that successful Hal Steinbrenner season is we win a bunch, we sell tickets, we sell chicken buckets, we get in. If we win, it's the system. It's not us.
Right. And that's exactly what the Yankees motto has been. And you know what? It's not that it's wrong. It's that it's applied incorrectly when you talk about the Yankees.
Yeah.
Because they, like you said, they have been the only time they were the 1 seed, they won the pennant. Every other year in the Aaron Judge era, they have never been a 1 seed.
Yeah.
And they have always lost to a higher seeded team than them.
Yep.
So can I really say, we were supposed to win the World Series when we were the wild card 14? Why would I say that?
No.
So go be the one seed, and then if you lose, you could tell me that it was bad luck, and I might give you the benefit of the doubt. But when you're winning wild cards and or falling up short to the Astros, who have beat you by 10 games in the standings, I can't tell you it's just bad luck at that point. You're just not as good as them.
Yeah, and I mean, like the guys that they bring on as support, like players, basically, it's like some of these guys, like they're internal guys, like they are kind of league average guys for the most part. Where like Austin Wells, a fine catcher, like Anthony Volpe's a glove first shortstop who's not hitting much. Jason Dominguez didn't even play in the postseason. He's got lapped by both Bellinger and Grisham. Like here's when you want to try and have the cheap guys need to be able to perform a little bit and give you surplus value. They don't.
Sure. And that's going to be a big thing with the Yankees this year. What do I get from Volpe? What do I get from Wells? Uh, I need production from those guys.
Yeah, is Dominguez playing? That's also a question at this point.
I personally think they're going to trade him, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's another question. It's like I mean, like this kid is like was sold to us as the next Mickey Mantle in the minor leagues. And like he's getting basically hidden in the major leagues because they just don't trust him.
No, we've seen this kid now, and here's what I've seen from this kid. And he's 22 years old. I want to caveat all this with he's 22 years old, so this can change.
Yeah,
But right now, what I've seen from him is he's a switch hitter who can't hit right-handed and he can't field. So he is a above average major league hitter from the left side, but he doesn't have a position. I'm sorry, that's not as valuable as the switch hitting center fielder you told me he was.
yeah. And I'm waiting for Spencer Jones to come up here and get sold the same bill of goods because now we went from Dominguez and Volpe are our future. Now it's Spencer Jones and George Lombard are our future.
Yeah, well, Lombard, I don't think you're seeing this year. And as far as Spencer Jones goes, I look at him and I see, okay, can I get a guy here who can play a good quality center field and hit me 25 or 30 homers? If I can get that, then that's a productive player. But I don't see this guy's Aaron Judge or even Kyle Tucker. I don't see that.
It's so simple. It's just sign Kyle Tucker, worry about the rest later. That's the easiest way to do this, but they won't do it.
Sign Kyle Tucker, go get a pitcher. If you want to get a Mike, if you want to get into the Japanese market, I get it. Even if you want to trade for Sandy Alcantara, fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all of that. But Kyle Tucker's got to lead the offseason. Now, I will say that historically speaking, over the last 5 years or so, since 2019, the Yankees have made a move at the winter meetings. When there's been a winter meetings, the Yankees have made a splash. So looking forward to next week and seeing what the splash is going to be.
My hunch will be is them re-signing Cody Bellinger. That's my hunch.
I agree with you, but hopefully, again, I don't want to sound that I'm disappointed in that. I'd be content with it, but I'd really like to see Kyle Tucker instead.
Yeah, 'cause I feel because you think the thing with the Bellinger is yes, you'll probably have like a similar kind of team that you had last year. Like I point to it again. You had Juan Soto, you went to the World Series. They have not, and Giancarlo Stanton did not give them that shot in the arm of the World Series they thought he would. Like Kyle Tucker could be that difference maker, and I don't think they want to go that route because they want to pay the freight that comes with it.
It seems that way. But again, we'll see what happens next week. Maybe it's Kyle Tucker. Maybe it's Tatis. Maybe they do pull off that trade and they bring him in. Or maybe it's
Something we have no idea about right now.
something we don't see, or maybe it's Cody Bellinger.
We'll see, Phil. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Mike. Have a good one.